Jim as the vice chair because my
Okay.
schedule is just getting crazy. So,
Hey,
see, we got it all worked out.
I'll vote for him.
All right. Like, I'm gonna vote for him too, so I think that basically overrules any vote that he would have against it.
right, sounds
Yeah,
good to me.
I know my role.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Yep. I was like,
You
this
just
way.
smile and nod.
Smile and nod.
Smile and
I do
nod.
that every day at home in front of my
See, there you go.
dinner was good.
Wait, I was like, now wait a minute.
Smile and nod.
I was like,
I
wait
say
a
that
minute.
half the time.
It's like,
I'm
are
like,
we recording
yeah,
yet?
so I'm cooking my
No,
dinner.
we are not.
Yeah, I cook a lot where I go.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, I think we are.
Not yet.
Okay,
Not yet.
well,
He hasn't hit the record button.
Oh, okay.
that's all right. My thing went to sleep, so I'm gonna pull it up on my phone.
All right.
There we
Okay,
are.
well, it's officially 6:30. Let me pull it up on my phone so I can make my notes.
Notes are good. Notes are good.
I like to know, just in case. Just in case we need it. All right. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is 6:30. Welcome to the Charter Township of Meridian Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Today is Wednesday, April 19th, 2023. And let's see, first things first, we are looking at the approval of tonight's agenda. Got it. All right. Questions or moved by member
Trezise.
Trezise? I'm going to get it.
Second.
And seconded by member Field Foster. This is a vote to approve tonight's agenda. Member Koenig?
Yes.
Member Field Foster?
Yes.
Member Trezise?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so the agenda is approved. Moving on to number 3 on our agenda, which is corrections, approval, and ratification of minutes for March 15th, 2023.
I'll move since none of these two were here. then
I was gonna say, I'm like, it's just really you and me. I will second.
Yep, I'll move to approve the minutes as presented.
Fantastic. All right, this is a vote to approve minutes from March 15th, 2023. Member Koenig?
Yes.
Member Field Foster?
Yes.
And Member Trezise?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so those minutes are approved. Next would be communications, of which there are none in our packet, and there is no unfinished business, so we will move directly to new business, which, before we get started, I know Member Field Foster has a statement.
Yes, I need to put a conflict on record. I sit on the Sparrow Foundation Board, and so as a result, I do not think it's appropriate for me to vote on this matter. So I will go back into the audience. Is there anything else I need to?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, this is a vote to allow Member Field Foster to abstain from hearing the case, DBA case number 23-04. Member Koenig?
Yes.
And Member Trezise?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So your conflict is so noted, thank you, and we will see you in a minute.
See you in a minute.
All right, in that case, we are going to hear ZBA case number 23-04, 4660 South Hagedorn Johnson Sign Company, 2240 Lansing Avenue, Jackson, Michigan, 49202. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Chapman.
So the applicant is requesting two variances, one from section 86-687-3A, which states one wall sign shall be permitted and may be flat against the building's front facade or parallel to the front facade on a canopy. For businesses with frontage on more than one public street, two signs may be permitted. And in no case shall more than one wall sign be located on a facade, and no wall sign shall be located on a rear facade. Also, section 86-6873D, which states where several tenants use a common entrance in a multi-tenant structure, a wall sign shall be permitted up to the size equivalent to 1 square foot for each 1 lineal foot of building frontage. In 1995, the township issued a building permit for the installation of 2 wall signs, IDE and the IDE text and the logo. These totaled 93 square feet, and they were installed on the building's west elevation facing Hagedorn Road. At the time, there was different sign regulations. Basically, it permitted an unlimited number of wall signs on the building's facade, provided that the total area of all the signs did not exceed 10% of the building space. So since then, the code was revised and now it only allows one wall sign on the building's front elevation. And treating the IDTEX and logo as a single sign, it measures 185 square feet in area. 2009, a variance was approved for an additional wall sign, which allowed Wells Fargo to add 65 square feet, a 65 square foot sign near the top of the main entrance. This sign was removed and is no longer part of the overall number of square footage granted to the site. In 2015, there was another variance granted to allow a 65 square foot wall sign for MSU Health Team to be located on the building's west elevation. And in 2021, variances were granted to allow 3 wall signs for a total of 303.8 square feet. So in total, the building's west elevation has 155.5 lineal feet of frontage, and the township sign regulations would permit a single wall sign containing a maximum of 155.5 square feet in area. However, because the building contains frontage on more than one public street, the building would be permitted a second wall sign on a separate building elevation. Therefore, the sign regulations allows the applicant to install the wall sign on the building's west elevation up to 155.5 square feet and second wall sign on up to 155.5 square feet. So the first variance, the applicant is requesting a 4th wall sign on the building's west elevation that currently contains 3 wall signs that total 303.8 square feet. Combine the existing wall signs and proposed wall sign total 353.8 square feet in sign area. The second variance has to do with the total size of the wall signs on the west elevation. A maximum of 155.5 square feet of sign area is allowed on the west elevation. The applicant is requesting a total of 353.8 square feet of wall signs on the west facade of the building with the addition of the new sign. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Chapman. Would the applicant or the applicant's representative like to come up and speak any further on this case this evening? So just come up to the podium and you'll state your name and address for the public record, please, sir.
All right. My name is Jim Johnson with Johnson Sign Company. Our address is 2240 Lansing Avenue in Jackson, Michigan.
Thank you.
Thank you all for taking the time to hear our case tonight. We really appreciate it. Just to open, when we worked originally with Sparrow on coming up with a way to identify their practice, their medical office at this building, we were trying to see where the best opportunity to place their signages. And, you know, I think the past history of the variances that we've had to, or that this property has had to undergo kind of shows the uniqueness in our eyes of how this property is set up. This existing building is a fairly large one. It's 6 stories. The distance it sets off the road with the north building kind of blocking it really makes it a challenge to properly identify the different practices in this building. And so what we tried to come up with is a solution that we felt is in line with the aesthetics of the other signs on the building. So the Sparrow sign that we are showing here is a 50 square foot sign mounted on the 3rd floor of the building above the existing pharmacy sign. We feel it's very important to be able to properly identify Sparrow because of the fact that there's another healthcare facility that is branded on this building, and with their patients trying to travel to the building, if they pull in and only see MSU Healthcare, it could cause quite a bit of confusion if their patients are not seeing the Sparrow name too, especially with other buildings in that area in the same parking lot that they could have to pull into, thinking maybe it would be in that building. So that's what we tried to do. We feel that the aesthetics of the way it looks is in line. As Keith mentioned earlier, in the past, there used to be a large Wells Fargo sign up on the top floor with a smaller MSU Health sign on the left side. So since that has been removed and the MSU Healthcare sign has gotten larger, we still feel the overall aesthetic look of this building is in mind as to what it historically was in the previous years. And I could read through our responses to the 7 criteria, if that would help.
We should, do you have the 5 criteria that we have shifted to? I know that you've been at meetings before with me.
Yes.
I think I said on this case on the last one.
Yeah, we came with all 8, so I
All 8,
apologize.
okay.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
So
We've condensed.
You condensed it, that's right.
To kind of shorten them up.
Yeah. So if you want, I could go through those 8 pretty quick if you would like, or if you had them in your report.
We should have that in our packet. I think I read through those. Okay. So I don't need that unless but I would love you to stick around, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that way we can talk. Is there anything else unique or anything else we should know before we get into our board time? Otherwise, I'd love for you just to stay where you are and then we can have dialogue
Sounds
as
good.
needed.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, in that case, I'm going to get into, I'm sorry, is there anybody else that would like to speak on this case this evening? And if so, you can come up to the podium and make a statement with your name and address for the public record. If not, I'm going to go ahead and get into our board time. All right. In that case, does anybody have any questions, thoughts, concerns? I'll tell you kind of where I'm coming from after this one, which is, and this might be a question, I don't know if Keith can answer this question, or maybe even, is there a representative from IDE with us tonight? From the IDE building? Okay. Is how many tenants are in this building? Because what I'm afraid we've opened Pandora's box, because we approved this, and I sat on that case. I understand where we came, and I think remember Koenig was on that case. I remember why, and it was a public safety issue, and we were concerned with signage, and I think Mr. Johnson said it well, that making sure that people can find this location. But Mr. Johnson also pointed out, it's a very large building. How many tenants are we talking about, and does everyone want to sign? So that's kind of that's my thought process right now. Keith, does this building have a monument sign?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think some of them in the area do, but I don't think.
Yeah, because I feel like there were some other buildings there on Hagedorn that we not so long ago approved monument signage for directional purposes, maybe on that side. But I'm just curious, because I know we also went through not too long ago Hannah Plaza and approving a monument sign for Hannah because of so many, and being deep set off the road and those kind of things. Mm-hmm. So my struggle with this is that on one hand, we approved those signage and it's the same rationale and reasoning that they need the signage. But my other concern is that, is this the best solution for all of the tenants in the building? Because we certainly can't start lining up all the names on the building side. So those are my thoughts and concerns. I don't know that Mr. Johnson or Mr. Chapman has an answer for that, but hello, welcome. Please give us your name and address for the public record.
Michael Shingles. I work at the IDE building. I was at Michigan State for 22 years and recently went to Sparrow.
Great.
So to answer your question, I mean, the issues, you've got different healthcare practices there. MSU has got a large presence now and have a sign to make sure people know that they're there. Yeah. So a lot of these patients are like elderly patients with orthopedic injuries. They're coming in. And so our concern is, I think the plans for Michigan State have been pretty clear. They're going to want to buy the building. Mm-hmm. And they're going to make that a medical center. Problem is we have our lease there for 6 more years and our patients have to find us. And although we work with, it's my old group, we work with those guys, there's a chance that we won't have any ability for our patients to find us other than somebody that can follow a cell phone. But a lot of elderly patients aren't following cell phones. They're looking for a visit. So as far as tenants, I can't tell you exactly. There's a couple banks in there, and then Michigan State's got probably 4 or 5 practices there, and they're trying to build more. So it's going to be mainly Michigan State eventually, and eventually we're going to be asked to leave. But for a while, we have to have our patients come see us there. So that's one of the importance for the having the sign, which we made sure we put in our lease, but of course it's got to follow all the ordinances and whatnot. So I'm not sure if that's helpful, but I mean, that's our concern, is that patients can find us.
Yeah, I definitely see the uniqueness of this case, and I respect that response, and I appreciate that. The hard part for us is too, though, this variance will go with the building. So so if that practice, after the 6 years lease is up, moves to another location, whoever else comes in gets that signage. It's signage neutral. It's literally just what we have no control over what the signage is. It's just what goes on the building. So that's the challenge for us. Absolutely sensitive to the need for it. I see a need for it. I can argue both sides, I guess, is what the challenge is for me tonight. But I hear what you're saying, and especially knowing that you'll be in the building for quite some time is helpful to know. So I appreciate the response, sir. Thank you very much. Any other thoughts?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm wondering what does the south facade on Hyde Parkway look like as far as putting a
How
sign
many
on that
signs?
facade? Mostly the direction in would be off Hyde Parkway, rather than off Hagedorn, I would
Yeah, because you'd
assume.
have to come in off of I to
Yeah.
park. That's a good question. Do we have a south elevation view, Mr. Johnson or Mr. Chapman?
I can get one on Google.
Okay. I believe that we, in the last case, approved one on the south elevation.
No,
No?
no.
Is that another building?
No, it's the same
There
building.
might have been one on that south elevation of that building though, because I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That was associated with the big monument sign.
Okay,
It was the train derailed and
right.
blew the sign apart.
Okay, that helps.
Let me get that. This is-
Okay, so is that current?
No, it's from September
Yeah, 'cause-
2017.
Yeah, still got the Wells Fargo sign. Well, look at all those trees.
Yeah,
It's easy to see, huh?
yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, Keith, Google Earth is proving our points here. I mean, if this is Hyde Parkway, everyone can see
Yeah,
that
that's
this
Hyde
is.
Parkway.
This is,
That's helping.
yeah, I mean, it is.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now granted too, this is 2017, so those trees have filled in
Yeah,
more.
it'd be fine in the winter.
It'd be great, yeah. If there were signs on the south side.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, can I add to this?
Yeah, Mr. Johnson, go ahead.
Yes, so from what I remember, the reason we also feel really passionate about being able to put it on the west elevation is because of the site, with the trees growing up. You really don't, even though on the site plan it looks like the or the south elevation would be a good spot, the trees really do block it.
Yeah. I mean,
And so that the west elevation is the most optimal for this. And I can't speak on behalf of Ide Company because I know that they have to give approval even for their tenant to explore getting a sign. So we have a signed letter here, and that's something that we could discuss. Because I cannot answer your question, how many tenants are in there. I do know the passion behind this being a healthcare. I know there's a lot of other tenants in there that are not healthcare related, banks and other different businesses in there. But with this being a healthcare that patients are going to, we feel that it's a little bit different than if it was, a bank wanting to get their name up there just for name recognition. And it's really the intent behind it from our point of view and for Sparrows is for the health of their patients as they're driving in, trying to locate, okay, I know I'm going to Sparrow, but here's this massive building and all I see is, MSU Health. So we just are trying to help, make that an easier situation for their patients. And to answer or to add to that, we do feel that healthcare is just different than the marketplace when it comes to needing to identify it for the safety of their patients. So that was a big factor into it.
And I think we've talked about that before with regards to the newer emergency room there on Jolly and things like that. Like, I think we've been more sensitive to that as a board, that we understand that signage is a public safety measure. Yes, Member Koenig.
I had just a couple comments as well, but I was going to ask the same question, Madam Chair, about the number of tenants, because I too had kind of grasped, like, not so much the precedent setting, but if there's 30 tenants in there, there are going to be 30 signs in the next 5 years on this building. So I just looked on my phone as well, but like Ide and Hannah, those all are kind of dead end. So for the most part, the only way you're going to get there is from Hagedorn. So that's going to be the main, in my view, my opinion, that's going to be your main view, to be able to see this building, and the building north of there is coming down or up Hagedorn. So I can totally understand why the signs, if anybody's going to be in there, they want to put them on the west side. Besides the trees, I didn't realize there were so many trees. I thought that was a good question.
That was just an option. It's
Yeah.
not a good one.
Well, for a
At this
minimum
point.
action.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. I also came across the whole, the question of a precedent, because there's already been variances on this property for signs. So that precedent has already kind of been set by the township. Whether there's a sign that's no longer there or not, as we saw in the 2017 picture, it was there, the Wells Fargo, but it's no longer there. But there was already variances that were approved on this building for whatever reason. So it's not like this would be something new. The big thing for me is that the location of the building and where this is at, there's no residential right across the street from it or anywhere near it. So it's not going to be like really a big eyesore with brightness or anything like that that's really going to catch some residents' attention. I know that's a big topic with, whenever there's a building across from residents, you got to take that in consideration sometimes. And this is all kind of like a little mini commercial, industrial, whatever you want to call it, intensive area. And I do agree with Madam Chair about, you need a big enough sign on there so people could see it because of how far back the building is. And, the sign size, I think, is, when you look at the picture of it, if that's the scale, it's probably going to be one of the smaller signs that's up there besides the address. So I think you kind of did some due diligence there. Besides, it's no bigger than the Ide or the MSU Healthcare, or even that little pharmacy that's just below there that was approved back in 2015 or something. So it is kind of the smaller of the sign. Bottom line, getting to my main point, as much as I kind of scratched my head and wondered about the precedents with this, I myself don't see an issue with it just because of the type of use where it is. And being that this is kind of a dead-end type roads, and the only way really access is off Hagedorn, so that's probably going to be your best place. Now, could we have a problem, and the township have an issue if there's 3 more, MSU decides to get out of there and you got 10 more companies coming in, they all want to sign? Potentially, yeah, but I don't know how big the face of this building, Keith, when you said in here, your first paragraph right there, you said back in the day, before this new code, permit unlimited number of signs, the building's front is provided, the total area of the wall size does not exceed 10% of the building's face. Did you mean the frontage of the face, or did you mean the area of the face?
I believe it's that whole area.
So, this is a 6-story by 155-foot in frontage, so you're talking, I'm guessing this is gonna be more than, well, what's the total sign size? 300, what was it, 350 something?
350.
I'm gonna guess that frontage is bigger than 3,530 square feet to be the 10%. So back before the new code, there probably could have been more signs on there. So that was the other thing that I considered, but I do respect your guys' 2 points, especially coming off of Ide. I looked down there, but I only looked at it as the sense of kind of being like a dead end.
Yeah.
I didn't figure, what was the view like, so I'm glad that, thanks Keith for showing that. So that's just the comments I had, Madam Chair, I'm all finished.
Can go along those lines. Any other?
I
Anything else
tend to
to add?
agree that it is not an intrusive sign. It is, in that facade, it is not overwhelming. If we came back with 10 other people wanting to put signs up there that look like a billboard, but we don't have that at this point. And as long as the sizes are kept small, I don't see a problem with having 3 signs there with 350 feet as opposed to, or 4 signs there at 350 square feet as opposed to 3 signs at 300. It's not a significant change.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you both, and I think Definitely after having looked at that, I Boulevard, where there's not really any other option, so I can see this as being a minimal action, considering the alternative is that there's no other option. And I do just want us to kind of keep it in mind, moving forward as a board, just to have it as part of our awareness, like you said. We don't want it to turn into a billboard either. So I know we have wonderful staff that will work with some of these tenants if we do have any questions, or you know, a lot of other people coming up wanting to put signs on this building. So I'm of the opinion to start taking a look at criteria, and I don't see any major other reasons. I think what has been said is noted on the record, and from there we can kind of move forward thoughtfully as a board with any, if it does ever come up more questions about this particular property. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start reading criteria. Criteria number 1 being unique circumstances exist that are peculiar to the land or structure that are not applicable to other land or structures in the same zoning district, and these unique circumstances are not self-created. I think Mr. Johnson did a very good side of explaining that, as well as our visual aids from Mr. Chapman. So I appreciate that these are unique circumstances of this particular building and variance applicant. And criteria number 2 being strict interpretation and enforcement of the literal terms and provisions of this chapter would result in practical difficulties that would prevent the owner from using the property for a permitted purpose. I do think that it's challenging to have one particular business inside of a very large building that could be confused or misinterpreted and literally impossible to see from the road. So I would say that would be a practical difficulty with the site there. Number 3, so I could meet that criteria. Criteria number 3, granting the variance is the minimum action necessary, which would carry out the spirit of the zoning ordinance, secure public safety, and provide substantial justice. Again, I think as we saw, an alternative action is not even feasible, right? Very, very good word for that. There's no other way really to put a sign on this building that would be appropriate or that would solve the issue. So I think this, and as has been said, this being a very reasonable size of a sign within a very large facade of a building does definitely ring as minimum action to me. So I can meet that criteria. Criteria number 4, granting the variance will not adversely affect adjacent land or the essential character of the vicinity of the property. Again, as Member Koenig stated, this isn't across from a residential area. This is a very commercial area. Therefore, I think it will only enhance and help to aid traffic and other, congested areas there. So I can meet that criteria. And criteria number 5, which is granting the variance will be generally consistent with public interest and the purposes and intent of this chapter. I do think that part of the intent of this sign ordinance is to keep it as minimal as possible and not turn it into this large of a building into a billboard. So I do think that considering we only have three signs on it currently, 4 with the addition of this one, is within the intent of this zoning ordinance. So I can meet that criteria as well. I welcome any discussion on any of the variants if we have any questions on the criteria.
No, I agree.
All right. All right. Well, then I would move to approve this variance for both, let's see, motion to approve ZBA case number 23-04-4660 South Hagedorn for Johnson Sign Company for both the, I'm going to scroll back down, for both the change in number of signs and the additional square footage of the signage.
Support.
Okay, support. All right, so this is a motion to approve ZBA case number 23-04. Member Koenig.
Yes.
Member Tresice.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so your variance has been approved.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you,
you all
Mr.
so
Johnson.
much. Really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for being so prepared when you come
Yeah. Oh, no.
before our board. We appreciate that very much. All right, since that is our only new business, we do need to move on to the next item on our agenda and bring back Member Field Foster from the audience. Here she is. That would take us to other business, which is the election of the 2023 officers. And with that, I believe we need to have, should I read this? Do I have to read
You
this?
don't have to read it. I mean, we basically just need nominations and
I need a nomination for a vice president, please.
Do we have to do the chair first?
I need a nomination for the chair first, please.
I nominate our chair, Mansour, to continue in that role.
I would second.
All right, this is a vote for chair of the zoning board of appeals. That would be for Alexia Mansour to continue as chair of the zoning board of appeals. Member Koenig,
Yes.
Member Field Foster.
Yes.
Member Trezise.
Yes.
And do I get to vote for myself?
Sure.
Sure. Yes.
All right, chair votes yes. I will remain chair.
Okay.
All right, and so we are looking for a nomination for vice chair to serve in such duties.
I nominate Member Koenig to
Okay.
be the vice chair.
Support.
All right, so this is a, are you
Sure.
coming on in with me? You hopping on the pool?
Certainly.
All right. Okay, this is a vote to approve Vice Chair Koenig's nomination. Member Koenig,
Yes.
do it.
Don't
Member
have a
Field
choice.
Foster, yes. Member Field Foster.
Yes.
Member Trezise.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so welcome, Vice Chair.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Congratulations.
Yes, congrats. We
I'll do you
welcome
proud.
I know you will.
Yes, you
I'll
will.
try. I'll do my best.
I know you will. Right. Well, now that we have our officers in April, it's only April. Now that we're
Wait,
three,
what is this? Is this
4/5
like?
of our way here,
It's recording.
Are we
recording our
Wow.
4 minutes.
Okay.
sorry.
I
I
am,
didn't mean to distract
Easier
you.
to push the button.
well, I am looking and there is no one left to make public remarks. So I will open public remarks and I will promptly close public remarks. And I will open board member comments and say, thank you for serving as vice chair for so many years with me.
It was an absolute pleasure, and if it wasn't for my schedule, then I would still.
I
would
completely
still.
understand,
It
but we
is-
still hope you will sit with us when
I
you
am
can.
absolutely.
So we, and welcome back to the officer side of the board.
There you
I've
go.
actually been on the board now for more than a year.
Right.
Wow.
So, and you were vice chair and you acted as the chair, I think, 2 or 3 times.
I think so.
Yep.
And I think you did a fantastic job.
Well,
So
thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I agree. So we will miss you at the gavel, but we will
That's all
welcome
right. I'll
you.
still be sitting here as a
Yes, you
member.
will. Yes, you will.
That's right.
I love it. All right. Well, on that note, unless anybody else has anything else to say, I'm going to close board member comments. And this meeting is officially adjourned. I have to do this for my daughters. There you go. That one's sleeping. Awesome. Is she asleep?
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
so.
Yeah, we
I
can
think
get
so.
Culver's now. I promised them a few.
No, the chair.